Welcome to Homework Help for Unit 7. We are in the Homework A practice homework. I'm going to do some of these problems with you just to kind of walk you through them. So we'll start with question number 1. Using Excel, find the probability that corresponds to a z-value of 0.23 and round your answer to 4 decimal places. So going over to my spreadsheet, which we built, if you haven't built this spreadsheet yet, you're going to want to do that. All I have to do is do a z lookup. So I'm going to put in the z value of 0.23. Enter. I get an answer of 0.5910. That's it. That's all I have to do. This is a straight looking up a z value. Okay, jump into question 4. This is a negative z value. They still want to look up of a z value, but a z value of negative 1.78. So again, over to my spreadsheet, and this time I'm literally going to put in a negative sign 1.78 for my z value, and I get a value of 0.0375. Okay, let's jump down to, and I'm skipping questions because they're repeats of the same type of question. You'll see that. Jumping down to number 7. Here we have look up the z value that corresponds to 95%. So before, they wanted the probability that corresponded to the z value they gave you. Here they're giving you the probability. They want the z value that's related to it. So now we have to go to our second part here, which if we look in the formula, that's the norm.s.inv. And this one is asking for a value of 95%. So I'm going to put in 0.95 because it says enter as a decimal. And I'm going to get a z value of 1.6449, but it says to enter that as 2 decimal places. So I'm going to lower that to 1.64. 1.64. Let's jump to number 8. Same type of question. Look up the z value that corresponds to 0.26. So the 0.26 is the probability, or 26%. So I'm going to put in 0.26. Again, this is using norm.s.inv, and that is minus 0.64. Remember, you need the negative. If you get a negative answer, you can have negative z values, so watch for those. Okay. Jumping down to question number 10, we're getting into the actual normal distribution questions. We're talking about the amount of chocolate Americans eat, and it's an average of 11 pounds per year with a standard deviation of 1.7 pounds. If you were to randomly select an American, what is the probability that person ate less than 10 pounds of chocolate last year? Round to 2 decimal places. So here we are. What are we looking for? We're down in this section of the spreadsheet where we're doing a less than problem. We're looking for 10 pounds. The mean was 11 pounds. The standard deviation was 1.7 pounds. Don't need the other two. I don't need the between or the backwards because we're not doing those type of problems. And here is my answer. That wants to be 2 decimal places. I'm going to lower the decimals on that. So it is 0.28. And that was question number 10. 0.28. Now, what am I using to get that? If I look into the formula, that is norm.dist, and that is just a regular norm.dist question. If we jump down to question 15, this is going to be a more than problem or a greater than problem. Same information. We still have 11 pounds as our average, 1.7 as our standard deviation. Now the x in question is 8 pounds, but we don't want less than 8 pounds. We want greater than 8 pounds. So I look in my greater than answer, round that down to 2 decimal places, and it's 0.96. And if I look in the formula, it's just 1 minus the less than. So I'm going to go 0.96. Okay, we're going so far. Let's do a between question. We're going to roll down to number 18. And we have the same 11 for the mean, 1.7 for the standard deviation. This time we want between 8 pounds and 11 pounds. Well, I've already done the 8 pounds, so I might as well just leave that there. So all I need is to enter 11 into my second x here, my x2, and go down to my between, I want to round that 2 decimal places. And we'll see between is 0.46. That's my answer. How did I get that? Well, if we look in the formula on the spreadsheet, it's just 2 less than. So I take that first less than, which is the one for 8 pounds, and I subtract the one for 11 pounds, which I did again if you look in the formula bar. So that's all it is. You just do between twice. Now, I used an absolute value formula, so I didn't get a negative value. Remember, this is probability. You can have negative z values, but you can't have negative probabilities. So if you get a negative probability, something went wrong. Okay. Let's jump down to question 21, and let's take a look at that. Now, this is a backwards, what I call the backwards problem, or a percent backwards. So we still have 11 pounds as our average. We still have 1.7 pounds as our standard deviation. But now they're not asking about if you randomly selected someone, what's the probability. They're saying 99% of Americans eat less than X pounds of chocolate per year. So we're not dealing with the X. I'm just gonna delete that out. I'm gonna take the X2, I'm gonna delete that out just to show I don't need it. Okay. Now we need this percent backwards. So I'm gonna put in 99% because that's what they were asking for. 0.99. I'm gonna enter it as a decimal. Okay. And you'll see I have percent backwards X less, percent backwards X greater, and we want less. So 14.9. Actually, they want it 2 decimal places, so that's 95. But I will shrink it down on here as well. Just make these 2 decimal places. And how did I get that? Looking at the formula, that is the norm.inv formula. Okay. Now, where it gets tricky, and we'll go to number 23. Same question, really. Okay. We still have 11 pounds as our average, 1.7 as our standard deviation, but the question is 80% of Americans eat more than how many pounds of chocolate per year? Well, just like many of our other formulas, this formula doesn't do greater than, it only does less than. Okay? But unlike the norm.dist formula, we can't just subtract the answer from 1, because norm.dist gives us probability, gives us percentages, so you can use the complement. This isn't giving us percentage. This is giving us pounds. There's no complement here. So if we look at the formula, now all I have to do, by the way, is enter that 0.80 in my percent backwards box and look at the X greater, okay, and it's 9.57. So what it's saying is, okay, if I want 80% of Americans eat more than 9.57 pounds per year. That's what it's saying. But if I want that, what I really have to figure out is what percent of Americans, what is the value of X? How many pounds per year do people eat less than 20% of the time? And the reason I need that 20% is because I need less than, and 80% is greater than. I still need to use the complement, but I can't use the complement of X. I have to use the complement of the percent. And if we look in the formula on the spreadsheet, you'll see it's norm.inv, but it's 1 minus, in this case, B14. And if we look at B14, that's my 80%. So I'm not actually finding the greater than. What I'm finding is this value, 20% of people eat less than 9.57. And by default, if 20% of the people eat less than 9.57 pounds per year, that means 80% of the people eat more than that, because that's where the complement shows up. Hope that made some sense to you, and good luck.